get used to it. You're going to see even more electric cars driving into India in quick succession. Welcome to CNB. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Patkar. This is the latest one. It's the mid-size sedan from BMW. It's getting lots of attention world over. i4, as promised, has arrived, and it becomes the third electric from BMW in India. It's not the only one that arrived this week. We've also had the Kia EV6 driving in. And so while you get a first glimpse of this car, here are some details on the EV6 that India gets.
It's a massive international success. It's been celebrated for its very sexy design and its extremely impressive eGMP dedicated electric platform. It has been the first runner-up at the 2022 World Car Awards, and it's a true flagship. I could go on about the Kia EV6, but I've kind of done that in the past, right? I'm the only one who got a chance to drive the car earlier. We've given you all the details about what this model really stands for and why everybody has been talking about it. But now you get to know that little bit extra. India spec. We have the GT line coming to India. What does that mean? What are the features? And what's the overall performance quotient of this variant? That's the part we'll tell you today. And I have to stop being selfish about hogging this car, and so which is why I'm bringing Ameya in now, because I'll just say that he very politely asked that he gets to spend more time with the car since I've already done that, right?
Finally, I get to spend some time with the EV6. So yes,
do I give you the key? So it's very reluctantly that I'm going to have to hand you this key. But you know, we are here at the BIC, the Buddh International Circuit, back here. So I've already got a few laps in, luckily. So all yours.
Thank you.
Enjoy. All the details from Ameya now.
I'll have all of them for you right away.
Now that I had the keys, the first thing to do then is drive.
And there's good reason for doing that, because you know what? I wanted to drive a car that is so mainstream, which makes 320 brake horsepower. Now that is of course divided between the front and the rear axle, because this of course is the AWD. So the front motor makes 222 brake horsepower, the rear motor makes 99 brake horsepower. Therefore combined output 320 brake horsepower, and torque 605 Newton meters, all from the word go, like all electrics, right? But 0 to 100 kilometers per hour is done in just 5.2 seconds. That means I put my foot down and this one goes. And that's of course how it is with all EVs, and that is also because of the torque that's on offer. But this one rides smoothly as well. It is India specific according to Kia. Ground clearance of this car 178 millimeters, and that does have some impact on the ride and handling, because well, it's not as agile as you want it to be. But then again, this is not a race car, it's your daily commute car, which basically has zero emissions and will keep you and your family happy. But there's one more thing I wanted to talk about, and it has to do with these paddle shifters, because this does not change gears.
Well, they're there to regenerate energy into the battery, so you get more range. You can toggle between 4 levels of regeneration, and the max level switches on the I pedal or single pedal mode, where you can accelerate and decelerate and even come to a complete halt using just the accelerator. How paradoxical is that? It is extremely innovative and comes in very handy in traffic conditions. Now, though the EV6 is available internationally with 2 different battery packs, India gets the one with the 77.4 kilowatt hour battery, and that therefore translates to more power and longer range. Kia is also offering the RWD version of the EV6 in India, and so there will be 2 versions to pick from. The RWD version 2 is good on power as it makes 226 brake horsepower, and a healthy 350 Newton meters of peak torque. The range too is expected to be close to 500 kilometers on a single charge. But what about charging times? Kia India says that a 50 kilowatt DC fast charger will take 1 hour and 13 minutes to bump up power from 10 to 80%, while a 350 kilowatt charger will do the same in just 18 minutes.
Now, in an exclusive review, we did say that it was sporty, but looks like that's a bit off mark in the India spec version.
Having said that, there's no doubting the EV6 is a looker, and from afar or even close up, it looks sexy.
Well, the only word I can find to describe the design of this car is progressive. It is, in fact, because look at it. It's so nice to look at. Yes, the design language is Opposites United and all of that, and Siddharth has told you all about it in his exclusive review. But you know what? This does put a smile on your face. And the fact that each and every crease, each and every bulge that you see on this car, it's all about making this car more aerodynamic. 0.28, that's the drag coefficient of this car. And you can see how the design has evolved around this very theme. Because, this, as I told you, the bulge here, the nice crease here, the bit of gap between the headlamp cluster and the LED DRLs, even the rear view mirror, you look at the shape of it and you realize that it all tapered and really works extremely well. And that progressive design is not just up front, but also back here, because you see this rear spoiler with these two inlets right here. It's all about making the car more aerodynamic. And even this beautiful rear tail lamp, it really stands out, don't you think? Yes, the chrome strip, there is that, but you know what, this beautiful thing right here that you see, you saw part of this design on the Carens, but this in fact is actually a turn signal, and yes, when it illuminates, it looks absolutely beautiful. So it's simple, it's all about making the car more efficient, and yes, it's progressive thought, it's an evolved thought. You know what? It strikes a chord.
And there's more to talk about the cabin. It will be available only with black interiors, and everything you see inside is made from sustainable materials.
Now, the cabin of the EV6 is, as expected, futuristic. We've spoken at length about it earlier, but now, that we have first-hand experience, we can tell you that, less buttons and more touch is the way to go for the future, for sure. And then you have these two 12.3-inch screens, a curved screen, basically. And you know what? They're all very driver-centric, look extremely good. Graphics are on point, but we'll have the tech review and we'll have more details on that very soon. As for the steering wheel, it is pretty easy to hold. Nice flat bottom steering wheel that we have here. The buttons here, the right hand side controls the left screen and the left hand side controls the screen right in front of you. So it won't get confusing once you get used to it. Other than that, there are nice cubby holes here. You can actually have storage area here as well, and there is enough and more to store here. There is of course the sunroof that you can enjoy, but the part and the feature that we enjoy the most, ventilated seats up front. Yes, very handy when it comes to summers, and you know how much we love that feature. Having said that, under thigh support is good. There's good lumbar support, and yes, as I said earlier, the seats are snug and extremely comfortable.
But how's the space at the back?
So the rear seat of the EV6 is pretty decent on space. You get decent amount of knee room. There is good headroom as well and good amount of shoulder room. Now the glass area might not be big, but it is sufficient to make it look more spacious because there's enough light coming into the car. The wheelbase of the car is 2,900 millimeters. Now, according to Kia, that's 10 millimeters more than the Tesla Model Y. Of course, we don't have a apples to apples comparison right now because there is no Model Y in India, but it is decently spacious. However, we are left wanting in the department of under thigh support for sure, because right now my thighs are halfway there in the air. It's the clever touches that really attract you, like the aircon vents right on the B pillar. Then there are these nice charging points on the seats in front of you. These are clever touches, and of course the 60-40 split seats at the back, and that helps you get more space because the boot already has a lot.
On the safety front, 8 airbags are standard. And the EV6 also comes with Advanced Driver Assistance System or ADAS. You'll get front collision avoidance assist, surround view monitor, lane following assist, lane keeping assist, blind spot monitoring system and more. All of which can be activated with the touch of a button. Now, only 100 units of the EV6 are coming to India, so the big play then is exclusivity and its select dealerships where it will be available. We expect prices to be around the 55 lakh to 60 lakh rupees quadrant, and that means it will go up against the likes of the Volvo XC40 Recharge, which will be sort of a direct rival. But with what the EV6 has to offer, I am very sure Kia will have no problem selling these 100 cars in the country. There will be takers because people who want a comfortable, futuristic and absolutely sexy looking electric vehicle will have to look no further.
The cabin on the i4 is really attractive. It's something we showed you a first glimpse of on our social media channels and on YouTube. It's this big curved screen that really sort of stands out for its graphics, and I have to say, looks very impressive. We'll have more details, of course, when we bring you the full review of the i4. Now let's move on and talk about the Tiger 1200 from Triumph. Lots of buzz around that bike. The Triumph family has been growing in India, and especially the Tiger family in particular. Preetham spent a lot of time with the bike, and here is the full review.
The all-new Triumph Tiger 1200, the latest generation full-size adventure bike from Triumph, is all new from the ground up. So there's the new engine, new chassis, new suspension, new bodywork and design, new wheels and brakes, as well as a new electronic suite with cornering ABS and traction control.
This one is the Tiger 1200 Rally Pro, the off-road spec model of the new Tiger 1200 range. Over the last generation Explorer 1200, which this one replaces, the Explorer 1200 was more of a touring bike. It was heavy, top heavy, and not very suited for off-road riding. If you've got great level off-road skills, you could still do a fair bit of off-road riding on that. But what Triumph has done is made this more off-road capable so that you can have a full-size adventure bike and do a lot of off-road riding, touring, long distance riding, a do-it-all big size adventure bike. Now Triumph has made no bones about the fact that the new Tiger 1200 is pitted squarely against the BMW R1250 GS. That's the one we're riding today, off-road and on-road, both the Rally Pro and the GT Pro, the road spec variant, to see what really has changed in the new Tiger 1200 range.
The new Tiger 1200 is available in two ranges, the more off-road capable Rally range and the road-oriented GT range. The highlight, of course, is the new engine, which has more performance than before. The 1160cc engine is still an inline triple that comes with a T-plane crank with a 132 firing order, which sounds distinctively different. But it promises more low-end grunt for better off-road capability. The new Tiger 1200 also gets a brand new chassis. The design is slimmer and sleeker, and the overall changes include the aluminium fuel tank that has helped Triumph focus on weight savings. In India, the new Tiger 1200 will be offered in 4 variants, with the top spec Explorer variants with 30-litre fuel tanks and with a radar-assisted blind spot detection system. All models now come with electronically controlled semi-active Showa suspension, allowing several levels of damping adjustment, with automatic electronic preload adjustment on the rear, with custom damping settings. There are 6 individually customizable riding modes for the Rally range and 5 for the GT range, which misses out on the Off-Road Pro mode. The 1200 Rally Pro may look imposing at first with its tall height and that big 21-inch front wheel. But on the move, it hides its weight and size quite effectively. On tarmac, it stays planted and in fact is quite up to the task when it comes to taking on some twisties. But when the tarmac ends, the 1200 Rally Pro shows its new off-road prowess. The wire-spoked wheels now come with tubeless tires, and the 220mm of suspension travel offer superb performance. Brakes are top-notch and offer sure shot stopping power under all conditions. If it's off-road capability one is looking for, then it certainly does not disappoint. Over gravel and rocky trails, the bike glides over all kinds of surfaces. The first gear is tall, so you end up staying in first mostly. But it has superb grunt to take on most of what we encountered on our test route. But with its tall stance and over 250 kgs of weight, it's still a heavy bike. If you drop the bike, which is quite likely to happen on an off-road excursion, it still makes its size and weight felt.
I think at 20,19,000 ex-showroom, it's a well-equipped bike with all the electronic nannies, fantastic performance and great off-road manners.
The GT Pro with its smaller 19-inch wheel and lower seat height makes it easier to maneuver on the road. It's still a big bike, mind you, but hides its weight and size with superb handling and dynamics.
The Rally Pro absolutely glides through all kinds of bad roads, no roads, everything. To me, it's the 1200 Rally Pro that's the pick. At 1 lakh more on the ex-showroom price, that's the pick for me.
The new Tiger 1200 certainly has been transformed, with a long list of positives which make it quite difficult to ignore. The pricing makes it even more appealing, and it certainly deserves your attention and test ride if you are in the market for a full-sized big adventure motorcycle.
So the BMW group in India now has 3 EVs. The iX arrived a little while ago, that's the big flagship from BMW i. And you have the Cooper SE from Mini, the first electric Mini, all available here in the market. In fact, BMW now proclaiming that it's going to want to lead the charge, no pun intended, when it comes to electrics in the premium space here in India. React to all of this, the EV6 and the new Tiger as well, and tell us what you'd like to see on the show. In the meanwhile, promise me you'll wear your seatbelts, please wear your helmets. Join us next week. Bye-bye.